Welcome everyone to the NoDQ.com live recap of Monday Night Raw for February 23rd, 2026. Raw was in Atlanta, Georgia, built around the celebration of the career of AJ Styles, a tribute show for AJ. Throughout the broadcast, we had video packages featuring AJ Styles. We'll talk about that as we get through the recap, but let's talk about Monday Night Raw and everything that went down during the show. We opened up with Michael Cole and Corey Graves in the ring to introduce the show, but they were immediately interrupted by Gunther, who came to the ring through the crowd. Gunther had the announcers leave the ring and said it was a disgrace to celebrate a loser like AJ Styles and said there should be a celebration for him. Adam Pearce, the general manager, interrupted and said, "God damn it, that's enough." He brought out security, and Gunther said he'll leave on his own because he is disgusted about what was going to happen on Raw with the AJ Styles tribute. He walked out, and then Dragon Lee jumped Gunther, and the fight went to the backstage area. Gunther was escorted out of the building, and then Cody Rhodes came to the ring for a promo, which we'll get to in just a second. Overall, this opening segment was fine, but I really have no interest in Gunther versus Dragon Lee. This just feels like filler, and I feel like Gunther should really be gearing up for a major WrestleMania match, and I just don't see what that's going to be at this point. I'm not really sure. We'll talk more about potential matches in just a little bit. Cody Rhodes in the ring for a promo. He was immediately interrupted by The Vision, and they vowed to take over SmackDown in addition to Raw. This led to our opening match, Big Bronson Reed versus Jey Uso versus El Grande Americano. Reed was double teamed, I should say, and then he got the advantage. He double clotheslined both Americano and Jey. El Grande Americano then did a moonsault to both guys on the outside, and then Reed got driven into the post by both guys. After the commercial break, Reed delivered a double Samoan drop. He stacked the guys, and then Americano regained the upper hand, and Jey Uso was on the complete opposite side of the ring. Americano did the flying headbutt, but didn't really get it all the way, didn't quite make it. He went for the cover, and Bronson Reed broke up the pin. Now, things get worse because Bronson Reed got injured breaking up this pin. He apparently tore his bicep, and WWE did announce this later in the show. Bronson Reed injured. We had another commercial break, and when we came back, there was no Bronson Reed. He was on the outside. The trainer did the X when somebody's injured, and Bronson Reed never returned. El Grande Americano applied the ankle lock. Jey Uso escaped, hit the spear, came off the top with the Uso splash, and got the 1-2-3 victory. Jey Uso officially in the Elimination Chamber. Now, reportedly, Bronson Reed was scheduled to win this match. This is from WrestleVotes. I'm not sure what plans will have to be changed for the chamber match. I don't think Bronson Reed was winning the chamber. That's for damn sure. Jey Uso being in the match, it's just filler. Jay's in the tag division. He's not going for the world title again unless WWE decides to really shake things up and change plans. I just don't think they will. I'm sticking with my picks for Elimination Chamber. Number 1 pick, Cody Rhodes. Number 2 pick, Randy Orton. And as far as Bronson Reed goes, the Vision is cursed. Danhausen must have put a curse on the Vision. All 3 original members Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed are all injured now. It's terrible. Bronson Reed likely going to miss WrestleMania. These types of injuries take several months to heal from. It's terrible. The Vision, they truly are cursed. I don't know what else to say about it. Shout out to David Estevez, who sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, second Mania that Bronson Reed will miss. Terrible luck. Yeah, he missed last year's WrestleMania and almost certainly going to be out this year. I'm not sure what the direction was for him. I felt like maybe LA Knight, but perhaps there's another direction for LA Knight. We'll see. Nonetheless, just very unfortunate for Bronson Reed. Best wishes to him with a speedy recovery. Might be time to end the group. I don't know what else to say. Just seems to be one incident after another with the Vision. Truly one of the most cursed factions in WWE history, I have to say. We had footage shown of AJ Styles' debut in WWE from 10 years ago at the Royal Rumble, and there were several people shown backstage. Bobby Roode, Shinsuke Nakamura, two of AJ's rivals, and we also saw a couple of TNA rivals, Frankie Kazarian and Abyss. Now, Chris Park works for WWE as a producer, but he was donning the Abyss mask and hair. Frankie Kazarian, of course, in TNA. Pretty cool to see them on the show. I think this is the first time that we saw the Abyss persona on Monday Night Raw. I know Chris Park has appeared as the producer a couple of times, and during the pandemic, don't know if people remember this, but Chris Park was backstage with AJ Styles and actually did appear in a segment with AJ, but he was as Chris Park, not Abyss. Pretty cool to see him. We had CM Punk arriving. He was riding passenger in a race car driven by Tyler Reddick. Guess that was just done for the hell of it. We had Liv Morgan, the Royal Rumble winner, and Dominic Mysterio come into the ring. Footage was shown last week of Stephanie Vaquer insulting Liv and making her cry. Dominic spoke for Liv and asked the champions to come down. Jade Cargill and Stephanie came down to the ring, and Liv Morgan spoke to Stephanie, said that the words caught her by surprise, but then admitted that Stephanie was right. Liv said she was privileged, didn't know Stephanie's story, and issued an apology to Stephanie Vaquer. Now, the crowd was not buying this at all, and neither was I. I mean, you could really see the turn here coming from a mile away. I mean, even Stevie Wonder could see this one coming. Liv said she had to focus on her story now, turned her attention to Jade Cargill, but then, of course, turned around and punched Stephanie Vaquer, basically knocking her out, continued the attack, hit her with the Oblivion, and then held up Stephanie's Women's Championship. So the match is official. No surprise here. Not much crowd heat for this. The crowd was very quiet for this segment. Maybe because we all saw it coming. I don't know. But not a great sign to get us going for this match. The crowd was just not making noise for this segment. Backstage, we had Offset with Javon Evans. Offset's a rapper, and then the New Day interrupted, and Xavier Woods was there with his arm in a sling, and Offset said New Day sucked, and all this led to Javon Evans versus Kofi Kingston in a match. We also had Anderson and Gallows, the Good Brothers, backstage for the AJ Styles tribute. We then had Maxxine Dupri versus Nattie. Not much of a match here. Maxxine had a strong start, but then they were on the outside, and Nattie threw Maxxine into the ring post, and that knocked out Maxxine. And Nattie kept attacking her. She couldn't defend herself, and the referee just stopped the match. I don't know what it is, but the Nattie gimmick hasn't connected, at least with me, and I feel like with a lot of the live crowd. People did not like this in the arena, and it seemed like the negative reaction was the consensus on social media. People were not enjoying the segment here. I mean, there really wasn't even a match. I don't know. I feel like it's not clicking. I'm not sure what they need to do, but might be back to the drawing board. We had Judgment Day backstage, and JD McDonough apologized to Finn Balor for being a hothead, just wants to see Balor be the champion, and Balor said it's water under the bridge, but Balor made it clear he has to do things on his own at the Chamber. And then Dominic vented, said that they were leaving him hanging, and he wanted them to be around for his match with Penta on next week's Raw for the Intercontinental Championship. And Balor said he's not leaving Dominic hanging because he's focusing on the biggest match of his career, and said maybe Dominic needs to grow up. And JD assured Dominic that they would be there for the match next week on Raw. So we continue to have the tensions with the Judgment Day. Hopefully they're pulling the trigger on this, because I'm really getting tired of the waiting. I know WrestleMania is coming up, so they're probably going with Dominic versus Finn Balor. That would be my guess. And hopefully we get the trigger pulled on it next week. We then had the crate arrive backstage. The mystery crate do not open until Elimination Chamber. Maybe it is Danhausen, since people have been getting cursed, would be fitting. And you had Adam Pearce saying that the crate needs to be shipped to Chicago at this point, and then him and Nick Aldis can open the crate together. So I don't know if that's a clue or anything. The fact that both general managers are going to open the crate at the same time. The funny thing, though, is that everybody's expectations are so low for this. It's like people don't even think it's Jericho at this point. He's still on the AEW roster page, and people are thinking of the worst case scenarios for this. We'll see what happens. And then Rusev came in, said he wanted to talk business, and then Obafemi walked over, and Rusev said Obafemi talks too much for a rookie, and Adam Pearce said that this night was about AJ and that they would need to wait for another place to settle their issue. Brock Lesnar came to the ring with Paul Heyman, who is once again representing Lesnar, and Heyman said that traditionally WrestleMania has two main events, one being the world title match and the other being Undertaker's match. However, Brock Lesnar conquered the streak, and now the main event spot has gone to Lesnar. And the only dead man is the one who faces Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. And they basically issued an open challenge. They put up a graphic. Brock Lesnar will be on Raw for like 4 or 5 dates leading up to WrestleMania. And whoever wants to step up, they will be the next victim to Brock Lesnar. The crowd was chanting Oba, but I guess Oba was scared. I don't know. He didn't come out there. And Paul Heyman said nobody has the balls to face him. So this was an interesting segment. David Estevez sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Horrible idea to have the Oba video before the Brock Lesnar segment. I agree. Although I don't really think it would have made any difference. I think the fans want Obafemi versus Brock Lesnar. Now, here's my take on it. I legitimately don't think WWE knows who they want Brock Lesnar to face at WrestleMania. And I think that this segment was designed to gauge the audience. And I think they got the answer. The people want Obafemi. There's been talk about maybe LA Knight versus Brock Lesnar, which I am not a fan of because I feel like Knight would almost certainly lose that. We've been talking about Gunther versus Brock Lesnar. No Gunther. Gunther didn't come out there to answer it, although at least that could be explained in the storyline that he was escorted out of the building. For now, we're going to have to wait. I think Brock's next appearance is like mid-March, like 3 weeks from now, something like that. So maybe WWE's just wanting to figure out the rest of the WrestleMania card and then just slide somebody in to face Lesnar. But ultimately, I think it should be Obafemi. I think Obafemi should not only be Brock's opponent, but I think Oba should beat Brock Lesnar. And then you can do Gunther versus Lesnar at SummerSlam, and Gunther only agrees to the match if Lesnar puts his career on the line in Minneapolis. I think that's the way to go. Do a babyface turn for Brock Lesnar. Maybe Gunther and Obafemi have a feud, and then Brock Lesnar comes out, turns babyface, and helps out Obafemi as a sign of respect. And Brock kind of puts over Oba, and then that sets up Gunther versus Lesnar at SummerSlam. Just spitballing ideas. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But I think it made the roster look a little weak. The fact that none of them came out there on the spot. You would think LA Knight, although he does have a title match, so that would explain that. But we're not a title match, but a title opportunity via the Chamber. You would think that any number of guys would have come out there for a WrestleMania opportunity with Brock Lesnar, and nobody showed up. So, odd segment, but we'll see how it plays out. Building Nexus sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Says, should the storyline of Oba versus Brock be who does this rookie think he is going after Brock Lesnar if they do it? I just think Obafemi should come out there and get in Brock's face, and they don't even need to say anything. It can kind of be like Triple H and The Undertaker from 27, where they just look at each other and they have the big stare down. You know the crowd will do the holy shit chants, and that's really all they need. Oba comes out there, has the face-off with Brock, boom. You got a WrestleMania match. I really think that's what they got to go with at this point. Brock Lesnar versus Obafemi. Oba goes over. Brock turns face, shows the respect to Oba, and then Gunther says he'll fight Lesnar in Minneapolis, but Lesnar has to put his career on the line. And that builds up intrigue for that. That's what I would do at least. We had a Becky Lynch video package, and she vowed to retire AJ Lee in her hometown. She said that AJ will be the least talented AJ to retire this year. I see what you did there, Becky. So as far as this match goes, I'm not changing my pick. With this video package, I think that reinforces the idea that AJ will go over in Chicago, and maybe they'll do a rematch at WrestleMania. Who knows? But I expect AJ to win. Sticking with AJ Lee to beat Becky Lynch. Royce Keys was shown via the Stephanie McMahon What's Your Story podcast. They showed the clip of him talking about his brother's death due to gun violence. Again, really effective stuff, and hopefully they'll have a game plan for Royce Keys, and they'll get him on TV pretty soon. Javon Evans with the rapper Offset faced Kofi Kingston, and it was pretty much what you would expect. Pretty good match with these guys, but you had the usual interference. You had Grayson Waller getting on the apron. Kofi tried a sneak attack, but Javon caught him, and then Kofi took a cheap shot after going for a handshake, using every heel tactic in the book. And then after the commercial break, Javon made his comeback, but was selling his knee. Kofi hit the SOS, and then Javon did make a full comeback. He did a dive to the outside, and then Grayson Waller took a cheap shot while the referee was distracted, and Kofi took advantage of this, but could not get the win. And then Offset threw Grayson Waller over the table, and that distracted Kofi. Stupid heel. Javon Evans came off the top with the OG cutter and got the win. Now, the crowd was was better for this than they were for the other segments on the show. They definitely woke up for Javon Evans, so that's good for him. They're into Javon, they're into Obafemi, and as we saw on SmackDown, the fans are very much into Trick Williams. So that's encouraging that these three guys are getting these great reactions, these new call-ups. You know, that is very encouraging for the future. And I really think WWE needs to just go full steam ahead with these guys. Obafemi, Trick Williams, Javon Evans. WWE just got to strap the rockets to these guys and push them to the moon. You know, who cares if they're, you know, rookies or whatever. I say you gotta strike while they're hot and make them superstars. You know, there's no need to wait. Just push them to the moon. We had CM Punk come into the ring, but first there was a Finn Balor video package, once again saying he needs to prove the doubters wrong. He said it's been 10 years of what ifs, and he said at Elimination Chamber there will be no more what ifs. So CM Punk came to the ring, and he said that it's AJ Styles' night, but he had a few things to say about Balor. He said, what if, speaking of what ifs, Balor had not jumped him and ruined the match with AJ? Well, Balor wouldn't have gotten a title match. But then Punk noted he is a fighting champion. And what if Roman Reigns was there? Well, Reigns will be on Raw next week. And Punk said, what if he punches Reigns in the face? And then he said, the one thing there's no what if about is WrestleMania, because CM Punk is the main event of WrestleMania. So pretty basic, short but sweet promo here from CM Punk. And obviously Punk's winning. But I think this will finally set up the Finn Balor turning face, getting kicked out of Judgment Day. And there will be something coming out of this. Next up, we had Io Sky versus Raquel versus Kairi Sane in a triple threat match for the final women's elimination chamber spot. Raquel showing off her power, doing the fall away slam to both of them, kind of like what Bronson Reed did with the double Samoan drop. And then Io did a moonsault to the outside on both of them. And Kairi and Io did work together for a brief period of time. And then Io got the upper hand on Kairi, hit the moonsault, but then Raquel pulled Io out of the ring. And then all the women were back in the ring. Io delivered a tornado DDT, which looked really good. And then went up top, but Kairi Sane knocked her off. Kairi went for the insane elbow on Raquel, but Raquel got her boots up, and then Raquel hit the Tejana bomb and pinned Kairi to pick up the win. I have to say, of the three of them, I was surprised that Raquel was the winner. I thought Io might be in for the star power. I thought maybe Kairi would be in to continue whatever the angle is with Asuka. But instead Raquel is in it. And again, my prediction, not changing. I am sticking with Rhea Ripley being my number one pick, and then Tiffany Stratton being my number 2 pick. But I could change that depending on what happens at SmackDown. I think if Rhea and Io lose the tag titles, Rhea Ripley, signed, sealed, delivered, winning the chamber. If they stay champions, then I think there's more of a possibility that Tiffany wins it. We'll see what happens. All right, we had our final segment of the show, the AJ Styles video package, which is the tribute, but we had a video package, the song Higher by Creed, which I loved. I thought that was a great choice. And as always, WWE does a phenomenal job with the video packages. Best way to put it. Styles came to the ring and had a retirement speech. He said he was grateful to have his celebration while most people don't get these types of retirement speeches. And he reflected on his career, talked about wrestling all over the world in the Tokyo Dome and WrestleMania. He talked about his opponents, such as Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, talked about becoming friends with the Good Brothers in Japan. But he said that there's one thing he hasn't done. He hasn't been a full-time father. He said his biggest flex is having the best wife in the world. They showed his wife and family, and they were getting emotional. This was great, by the way. Just really cool that Styles got this tribute and got to say farewell. And he said that even though people didn't like how it ended with Gunther, he said it was actually poetic because he ended where he started. And he brought up how he debuted in WWE at the Royal Rumble, and 10 years later, exactly, he retired at the Royal Rumble. He said as far as the gloves go, he is a man of his word, and the reason he kept the gloves on in Saudi Arabia is that he wanted to bring them home to Atlanta, which is like 45 minutes from his hometown of Gainesville, Georgia. He then took the gloves off. Crowd gave him the applause. The roster and all the special guests came out on the stage. The credits rolled, but then we heard the gong, and the Undertaker, with the American Badass entrance, came to the ring, and he told AJ Styles that they have unfinished business. And I thought for a split second he was going to say, I want a match with you in front of fans. I did think it, but then I was like, nah, no way they're doing that. It did cross my mind just a small, tiny bit. Anyways, Undertaker did make an announcement, though, and said that AJ Styles will officially be going into the WWE Hall of Fame as part of the class of 2026. And they hugged. AJ's family came in the ring for the final farewell, and that was the end of Raw in Atlanta. And I thought the whole segment was tremendous. As far as the Hall of Fame goes, I'm happy for him. The only thing is Stephanie's going in, and AJ should really be the headliner. He should be the number one guy, not Stephanie. I mean, Stephanie could be a headliner. I mean, she's very important in the big picture, but I don't know, man. I don't like Styles being second fiddle to Stephanie. So I'm kind of not sure how I feel about that unless Styles is, in fact, the headliner for this year. But I wonder if they should have waited one more year. But then again, you got John Cena, and they still got to induct Batista. So, there's other guys they have. I'm hopeful Styles will be the top billing for the Hall of Fame. All in all, Raw was definitely an interesting show. Like I haven't felt this mixed about Raw in a while. Like I did think some of the segments fell a bit flat, like Brock Lesnar. They're waiting on announcing that match. The Liv segment, the crowd reaction was flat for that. And, you had the injury to Bronson Reed. So there were definitely some negatives on the show, but everything with AJ was top tier. So I'm kind of like stuck with my rating for the show because I don't think WWE did a great job of hyping up the chamber. Like I don't have any more excitement for it than I did before Raw. But AJ's stuff really hit strong. I loved all that. So I will go 7 out of 10 for Raw this week. I mean, it's really AJ. Without AJ, this might have been like a 5 out of 10. It would have been, just an okay show with some hits, some misses, kind of just there. But AJ really elevated it and made it a pretty good Raw. And I would highly recommend checking out the AJ Styles stuff. So there you have it. 7 out of 10 for this week's Raw. And check out the predictions video. Didn't really change anything. Like my picks for the chamber are pretty much set in stone, but SmackDown, I could potentially change something. So check out the predictions video. NoDQ.com/YouTube, by the way. in case anybody's watching this on Facebook or X. You can go to nodq.com/YouTube and you can check out the videos and join the chats. Consider subscribing. We got the No DQ review coming up and Dynamite and then SmackDown on Friday. And of course, Elimination Chamber this weekend. NoDQ.com, we'll have you covered. Thank you all so much for watching. Much love and appreciation to you all. Say yes to NoDQ.com, and I will see you all next time.